All right, so we're whole. Everybody else, yeah. Who else we got? Oh, we got ba- David just by a minute. All right, so we're sitting around this. I got a little bit more to say myself about some of the lenses and things that are out. We've got the 735 1.2 by Nikon, and right now, just there's just it's just talk that it's a there's a uh, 800 by Sigma that is almost about the same price of the Nikon agent. But anyway, I'm just trying to store all Gus. All right, let me just back up and hand it off to uh, uh, Gustavo as we get started here.
All right. Yes. So, hello, guys. We're here today. So, as Chuck was saying, you saw in the thumbnail. So, we have two kind of discussion point for the beginning of the show. The 35, the new 35, the one that was in the roadmap, the 1.2, which have been praised, and we go through the discussion again. We have that uh, Sigma apparently is releasing a new lens at 800 millimeter to kind of be competitive with the uh, Nikkor 800 millimeter. We don't know what mount, but we will have a discussion about that. And and then we can talk a little bit about cameras, since also that Coolpix P1100 was released, right? So so that's what we have for the beginning of the show. But as you know, everything goes here, correct? And I put a little presentation as well to try to get the conversation going now that we have our first release lengths for this year, and hopefully you guys participate and let us know. But we go back to that later. Let's continue here with Mr. Roy, where we acknowledge people coming in.
Yeah, that 800 Sigma looks interesting, but I'm a bit concerned. My last one didn't last very well.
Uh,
I hope you have more pieces than that.
No, I threw the rest away. The front element and the rear lens cap.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be. Well, now what he stated, it was for Canon, and it's the RF 800 millimeter f6.3. So
yeah,
it's for the Canon. It's not for Nikon. Okay, got it.
no,
But, but what,
no,
what
stick.
Sigma has been doing, sorry to
Yeah,
cut you off here, Chuck, but they've been their new glass that they've been coming out with. It has a multitude of mounts, and one of them is normally the Nikon mount, and it's a Sony mount and a Canon mount. So, no, actually, not always a Canon mount, but there was one other that it had also because once you got the lens produced, it's easy to make a new adapter to fit all your different camera brands.
yeah. So the big hands, big hand, thin. The Vince Ben. Yeah, gosh, stupid. uh, but this Nikon uh, make the 35 point one. Oh God. It's, well, let me back away. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's go with let's continue in the order. So before we get into the discussion, so Your time to say hello, Mr. Stewart.
Oh, my time to say hello.
Yes.
Well, I have the Nikkor 800 PF, and when I ordered it, it took me 9 months for delivery, and it's a fantastic lens, and I can go walking around with it with my Z9, and I've been out on 2 or 3 hour walks handheld, and it's a great piece of kit. So I'm not in the market for a Sigma. And as for the 35, the 35 is not one of my favorite focal lengths. And I have a Sigma 35, one of the art series, the 1.4, which works, and it's F mount. It works fantastic. I still have a lot of F mount cameras, so I'm in no hurry to switch over. And the price is kind of holding me back, and it's not the ones that I want. But if that was a 28 instead of a 35, I already have my order in
Me too.
for a 28. Yeah. But anyway, I'd like to say good evening to all the people in the chat. Art Bear, Earth Woody, Mosman, Albert, Jeff and Leslie. And I'm sure there's others that are hiding in the bushes. Yeah. I'll pass it over to you, Roy.
Well, I've seen the 35-1.2, and it's very similar to the other three, but it's not my lens. I'm not a street shooter, and what gets me is it's big and heavy like the others. Would a street shooter want that bigger lens? Some people are going to want it, but I don't see a use for it. I'll try to avoid buying it.
Well, it's I could see it for possible aurora in your area, because but it's not one that you'd use very often, and it's not one that I would spend a whole bunch of money on just for that. Whereas the 28 is my favorite focal length, and that's why I have a couple of them.
I prefer 24, but 28's good too.
Yeah, it's when the aurora is not at a maximum, a 28 is my go-to lens. And I've used it for a lot of other things. I've used it for street shooting after dark. It works good at that.
So the question for Roy is whether this kind of 1.2 aperture, correct, with good fidelity and can be also in a wider angle than 35. Can you do a 28 1.2 and not be a monstrous lens?
Can't see why not. Just be big.
Exactly. I love even bigger.
I used to have a 13mm, but I think that was fairly slow.
So we before we continue on the discussion, let's say let's allow Randall here to say hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone. 35mm, they're saying, is about the same weight as the 50 and 85.
It is.
I've been watching the videos. I don't know. For street photography, no. Landscape or astronomy, maybe yes. Some people like that for portraits also. They think 50 and 85 is just too close. So 35mm might be the right size.
Be okay
And
for
the other rumor is the Sigma 800mm lens, but I thought it was going to Canon, and some other people are mentioning that it'll be ready for other mounts too. And the only other news is, are you guys interested in the new Nikon what was it? The
1100.
111?
P1100.
Okay. And it looks like the same thing as the 1000, only it has a USB-C. So it's a bridge camera. So are you interested in the, what's it, the 24 to 3000? and you could use that for, let's say, when you go traveling, you just all in one kit. Is that good enough? I think it's was it f2.8 to f8, I believe.
I
On
don't
the
know.
aperture.
I wasn't
Okay.
interested in that.
Yeah, and it's about $1,000. So that's the only other new thing. So we have quite a few things to discuss. And just make sure you give a like and share if you want. And glad to be here.
Yeah, I've got my 28 f1.4 right here, and it's not all that big. You
Yeah.
know, it's not a light piece of glass, but it's not something that you don't go running off. Well, you can. And this is f mount. That's why it's got a red lens cap, so I can tell easily. Somebody like, not going to mention any name, like Roy's, has different lens caps for different mounts, so I can find them easy. So I figured that was a damn good idea, so I'm using it.
If it works, use it.
Thank you, Rob. Pardon?
If it works, use it.
Oh yeah, it does. I've got my my Z mounts are yellow. My F mounts are red.
Very good.
But so let's go back to Chuck here. Chuck, is this a lens that you would be interested?
Well, I think if I had I think I will want it. I don't know how soon I will get it.
Okay.
The only thing I'm only thinking about is shooting at night with with a wide open aperture. And man, that thing looked great. As he was caught some people or on the beach. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
So it's just one thing that might keep me from in going to it.
Okay. Okay. Well, for sure, this lens is one that have received almost unanimous good reviews. Correct? We haven't heard, although everybody that have it is a pre-release, but I haven't seen, but I don't watch that many videos. I haven't seen anybody saying something wrong about this lens.
It's as good as the other 1.2s, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has all the coatings too, 3 different coatings.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to stop flaring, better in low light, and it's fast. And the images look sharp. I've watched the videos and I'm kind of envious. But you have that $2,000 price tag too. So
At 2,800 US.
oh, 2,800? Oh my!
I think
goodness.
it was. That's
Yeah.
what they told me.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah,
but I
that's
know.
it.
But one thing about being 1.2 is autofocus will work after dark.
Yes.
Because the autofocus works on my 1.4 Sigmas in the
Wow.
dark. Yeah. Yeah, that's with, I'm not too sure if I use my 8 or my 9, but it doesn't really matter. But if autofocus works, it's great. Yeah,
More light, the better autofocus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So Chuck is in, but not he doesn't have to pre-order, so he's going to take his time.
That's right.
So what about you, David? You are no?
No, it's a no
It's a
for
no
now. I've got that focal length covered, and like I say, I want a 28.
I don't do any night stuff, and I can't myself taking pictures of anything of people, or large groups of people. 335 or 35 is about my minimal for me, and because it's 1.2, it just be a good uh, limb and lens at night.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's if you are in kind of that what is that they were calling it? Environmental portrait, which is
Yeah,
body close enough that you can see is a portrait, but is you incorporate their environment, either where they work. I mean, somebody like Joy that do this kind of job, in restaurants and
well,
distillery. That would
yeah.
be
Well, I'm going to be. I'm going to take it when I want to take it out. I'll have it. With no problem. Well, having to worried about or carrying or something like that. Yeah, it's a good feel. I mean, it's good for me to have.
when we get some of the other friends here, it seems to be that this is also a length that wedding photographers
Yeah.
would like.
Wedding and events.
So, Randall, did Peter mention anything to you since he's a ex wedding photographer? Did he like this 35 millimeter?
Um, Peter's something else. Um, he can't afford anything because
No,
of
I
his.
know, but he
Yeah.
probably has an opinion, correct?
He has not said one thing.
Okay. You need to ask.
This news just came out, so this was after his live stream.
Okay.
He's not a Nikon guy, but yet he's been using the Sony A7C II lately. But he has his Z6 III, and he's using a ZFC to, on his other channels and stuff. So
Exactly.
he does have Nikon lenses. But, he's a jack of all trades. He uses all cameras. He'll use Canon, whatever he can get.
Because now that's his hobby. But when he was a professional, you have to have like your toolkit. You cannot have every camera. So it will be good to ask him. And obviously, when we have David,
I can ask him, but I think in his wedding days he had the Nikon F,
exactly.
and I forget what camera he used, but he had two of them. And then when his parents started getting sick, he retired,
Exactly.
and then he went into mirrorless and he started his YouTube channel.
Exactly.
So, and he was the first one to start 4K. So he's into that. Now he's into mics, and his live stream was about, are you ready to take the citizenship test? And I took 2 questionnaires, and out of all of them, I missed 3. And one of them it asked me, what party does this president have? And I said, well, he's Republican. I got that answer wrong.
Oh.
So apparently it might be 2025, might be for 2024, because it says no, wrong, he's a Democrat. And I said, well, this is February. You should have updated it to Republican. But, these citizenship tests, I don't know. Out of 40 of them, I missed 3. Okay.
Randall, some of us have to do it for real, correct? So
Yeah.
like myself.
If you don't want a green card and being kicked out, come in legally and do the citizenship.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did that years ago, but I did have to study like anything in life. So Randall, see, so is this a length that you will buy or not?
Yeah, I would buy it
Okay.
just to have it. Okay. I've been using the 51.2. I thought I'd be using the 85 1.2 more, or the Plena 135, but someone got me hooked on the 180 to 600, and a couple of tripods and a couple of lighting systems and stuff like that. But
Exactly.
and it gets me more into bird watching.
Don't blame me on that one. Blame Jeff because he's not here today.
It wasn't me either. So.
I haven't tried that yet. So that's my next adventure. And I'm too scared to go into the ocean because if I go too deep, my eardrums pop. Or, I mean, they hurt. Right. So I'm not like Scuba Razzi, and I love his photos. But I think I'm more into landscape and street photography. I'm not into portraits. I do some animals. If they look vicious, that's where you get the long lens and you're about a mile away and you take pictures and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, but you are in. You're in. What about you, Roy?
Yeah, I'm going to get it.
Is this something that I know that this 35 is not your preferred?
It's not my
focal length?
usual, but I would carry one just for large groups of people. The reason you do that is because if you're trying to light a big group of people, you need a very fast lens.
Okay. All right. So I'm finally me. I'm also more in the telephoto range. So I'm more like maybe in the future if this I got the plana and the occasional shooter of wide angle and landscape, but I'm there with David. I would prefer something like 20 millimeter, which I already have the 1.8 or the 28 millimeter. Right? But we go back to the discussions again. So let's acknowledge the people here that we have. I think there was some discussion in the chat as well. I think Van was talking about that he loved the focal length, but he preferred a small size.
Yeah, it's a big chunky lens again,
Yes.
which is
Yeah, he's in the
surprising.
Sony.
You want a street photography, you don't want a big fat lens.
Exactly. What else do we have here in the comments? They're talking about the
Well,
people.
would you rather have sharpness or would you rather have character?
Well,
So-
I'd go for character.
I think that most of them are pretty maybe the same, but I just like the night stuff,
So Van can let us know what kind of photography he does. Correct. That he seems to be interested on that. I see. Let me see if Rakesh say anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
keep an eye.
Yeah, I find the 20 and the 24 f1.8 are sharp enough and fast enough for what I do. So
18
I'm
millimeter.
not so interested in getting faster.
So that comment from Albert is a very good one, correct? Because in the past, these fast lenses, people use it like Chuck was saying to photograph in low light conditions. Let me stop that discussion and go back to what are you showing, Roy?
That's an 18 millimeter f4
Okay,
from back in
wow.
the AIS days. Now that's so huge, isn't it?
Exactly.
Why can't they make a few lenses that size again?
Exactly.
Just for street shooters and that.
And we will have a discussion later on. I forgot to tell you about what lenses we want, but let's continue here with the 35 because see we haven't. Chuck, put that comment from Albert because there is 2 points here worthwhile discussing with the chat and among ourselves because Albert is making the point
Was it
that yes, that one there.
okay?
That with the high ISO capabilities, correct? The reason to choose a 1.2 is not for low light conditions, okay? Which is you were talking about that, Chuck, that you like it for low light conditions, correct? But obviously, a 1.2 will have a different look, not only than the 1.4
Okay.
or 1.8, correct?
Yeah.
It will render the background differently, and also the point that David was talking about the ability to focus because that is impacted regardless of whether you can use ISO or not. Right?
Yeah.
So I think the point that Albert make is very good, right? Because we can get away with a lot of high ISO nowadays. On the other hand, a 1.2 lens it still probably has some advantages, right?
Hmm.
At
So
least it's usable wide open, which the old ones weren't.
Well, I wouldn't say it was. It's 500 ISO for steels, but um, I just my thought is, just the picture. So anyway, I don't too much to say a lot of to something, but I mean, yeah.
No, but I think it's good. Correct. What Albert mentioned is correct. But your point about the look of a 35, correct? A 1.2 is also important. So let's see what we have here. We got a bunch of comments. Yeah, it's expensive. So Caesar Campoli saying yes. So indeed, it's an expensive lens, right? And so there is that balance, price versus what you have to do, correct? So and let's see what Robert is saying here. Yeah. Robert is thinking about 35 for the astro perspective,
Yeah.
but not quite wide
not
enough.
wide enough.
That's where the 28 or a 24.
Yeah, but he has a point there also that you can do panos, and panos in astrophotography is have become very popular, correct?
Yeah, they're like multiple exposure is very common in astrophotography.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you put them all together.
I think at 1.2, but you typically will stop down a lens like that. I mean, the problem is that you probably stop it down a little bit from the 1.2 if you're doing astro, right?
Takes the fun out of it.
Yeah. It all depends on your software whether you stop it down or
So
not.
who else in the chat will be interested on this 1.2? And Roy, you were showing another lens.
Yes, a lot of the old AIS lenses are tiny. I'd like to see one of them once in a while these days.
I'm sure they do that. I hope they do it for people that want to, but and probably have a lot more the excitement than for three or than me.
Yeah. So you see, we had a comment here from Albert talking about kind of the trade-off between sharpness and character.
It's a sharp lens, but I think street photographers need something a bit more discreet. It's going to be good for events and weddings and things like that.
Exactly.
Probably astro, because you need they're the things you need wide open.
I don't expect it to be a what what do you call it?
Mainstream.
Well, yeah, the 7 to 35 1.4 and 1.8 are probably just fine for what they want to do. And you're talking, whatever.
And on this point of sharpness, and obviously being my hobby being wildlife photographer or doing some occasional landscape, I will like sharpness every day, correct? Because I think for the type of photography, you want something with character. The character will come out of uh, the light that you can get and all that. And I presume that somewhat extrapolate to portrait photographer, correct? I think it's easy to have a sharp lens and get some character into it than a purely character lens and try to make it sharp, correct?
Well, it seems to be that the 1.4s have more character in them. So that may be the way they go. And Chuck, could you move us to the other side so when you show the chats, you don't cover
I
up
want
Randall?
to, but I tried.
Randall likes playing peekaboo.
There you go. How's it?
And that's actually that's actually the point that that Jeff and Leslie is talking about, correct? That composition and light still the king, correct? The,
Yeah, if you don't have a good composition, it doesn't matter what you got for
Exactly.
glass.
You know, it's just if it's good enough for you, it's okay for anybody else. Okay.
With things like bokeh, they're less important than people think. You just move the subject further from the background and you get more bokeh.
Yeah, I had an argument with my father-in-law with that. He says, why isn't everything sharp in the picture? And I try to explain to him what bokeh was and how most photographers like the subject to be in perfect
Sharpness.
right,
Focus.
and then everything else, he's the main focus. Well, he didn't like that. He wanted to show the background. And I says, well, if you want that, then I can do it like an F8 to F9 or F11. And I did it, and he liked that better. But, you know, each person is different.
Well, that's why I say, you know, I'm going to buy it to shoot it at 1.2.
exactly.
You know, I'm not going to buy it to shoot F8, F8.4, F8.4, or F8. You know.
That's right.
Well, if I had it, I don't think I'd even use it to shoot at f2. You know, it'll be wide open
Yeah,
or
Well,
nothing.
lenses are not going to be wide open, are they? They're going to be f8, f5.6, F11. Never
Because
1.2.
Well,
we go to any lens at
Yeah.
F8.4 to be at 4. Gosh, at F8 at any lens will
It's going to be sharp.
fine.
And of course, we know as we go wider angle, in order to get separation for the background is more difficult. So the only way to achieve that separation is by having a wider aperture, right? And that's what this lens does, right? Otherwise, if you shoot the 35 millimeter or f8, everything is going to be sharp, like that you were talking about, Randall. Right?
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah.
Exactly. So for landscape photographers, for sure, they they do want everything sharp, and for
Well,
background.
people have used to be all the time, you know, saying, "Well, what about why would I shoot it? I wouldn't shoot it 140 or 4 1." Gosh,
you wouldn't shoot wide
yeah,
open.
you know, what? Why would you get it then?
Well, you
It's
know-
probably still sharp at 1.2, the 35, which is unusual, but it's not a useful thing to do. I think in the old days we used to blur backgrounds not to get bokeh, but just to hide what was there. Ugly backgrounds, you blur them out.
Well, then this lens would be great for that. Then,
Yes,
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
you can always move the subject closer away from the background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Achieve the same thing.
And if you have if you are doing portrait photography, you have control of that, correct? You can move
Yes.
the people and all that kind of thing. So I think
Yeah.
Jeff and Leslie mentioned something interesting here, correct? It's obviously we use all these cameras and to make a kind of representation of the world that is not what we see, it's what we think we see, because obviously our brain do part of the work, correct? Actually, the part of the area that we are able to get high definition out of our total vision is very small, correct, compared with the peripheral view that we have, correct? So, but when we put it in a camera in a 2D plane, there are things that we want to see, correct?
Yeah. It's Zach did an interesting video on the 51.2, and he was shooting wide open in low light, and the bokeh that he was getting, it was great because he was having berries that were perfectly in focus, and he had a light behind them that was a great big ball, and and this looked really interesting. And I'm going to have to get out and try that one of these days, you know.
Yep.
But it's it can give you an idea what you can do with the 35, considering what he's doing with the 50, and there's not an awful lot of difference between the two.
It's very right there.
Yeah.
For good.
Yeah, and I agree with Rakesh's comment. You know,
Yep.
yeah, it's all of the new glass coming out from Nikkor is made to be used wide open, and that's not, well, historically that never happened.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the old fast lenses were fast, but they were never sharp wide open.
yeah.
There's one.
And you think it's because of the mount being wider, right? That they can get.
It's better technology.
Yeah,
no
it's
doubt.
mostly technology.
Mm-hmm.
See, they got 30 years experience to make them better.
Yep.
That's the old 51. That's a 55 one too.
Yeah.
It's tiny in comparison, and it's very heavy. But I used to carry them just for the low light ability because you wouldn't normally use them. You wouldn't use a lens like this very often, as they're just not sharp wide open.
Exactly.
And if you did use it, you'd stop it down. Whereas a new 50, where am I? Probably this one, is big. Look at the difference. Which you want to put in your bag.
Exactly.
Especially if you got four of them.
Yes. They add up very quickly.
Well, if it's a windy day, you take the Z mount. If it's a calm day, you take the F mount.
I love the
And it can
50
take 4
one
times
too,
as many.
That's a great lens.
And that's the beauty of having all these lenses, correct? You have, I know that, for instance, the landscape photographers who are going to be stopping down, like Chuck was saying, just because they want everything in focus, they actually are happy with the f4, correct? They sometimes they and they are, if they're hiking and they have to go to a location, they don't want that weight.
I'm not going to say it wouldn't shoot it at f4, but you know, I'm probably going to the majority of the time I'm going to shoot at 1.2.
Yeah.
Like that's why you got it. And the other day I was out with my 50-50 and using low ISOs and wide open, and you got the shutter speeds, so you don't need a filter on it to stop her down.
Hey, buddy, you know the 85 and I went out and bought the 50 1.2, so I got to get to 35 now.
Just have to say,
But is your shelf off balance there, Chuck?
Yeah, they would, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you're going to be like Jeff before too long. His shelves are almost full. Yeah. So you might end up having to move just so you got more shelf space.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I think, like we have been discussing, all these lenses, they are tools, correct? Before you step out of the house and whatever you're going to do, an event, or you're going to go for wildlife or landscape, you have to make your choices, correct? Because, I mean, I agree with Jeff and Leslie, correct? If you're going to do get into the woods and walk, I think you're going to sacrifice a little bit of this kind of bokeh and this kind of thing. And I still, every time that I go out, in my bag is that the 24 to 120. It's such a versatile lens, right? And it kind of do it all. But if you know that you're going to do something specific, then you move to something like a prime of the wide and with the aperture that you require. So you need to make your decision, correct? Hopefully we have sufficient tools to carry the proper tool for what we have to do.
If you want to work fast,
Yeah.
24 to 70s works much better,
Exactly.
or 24 to 120. A zoom is always much quicker to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah, I find the last time I did a check, it was 60 some percent of my pictures were taken with my 24 to 120. And what I'm going to have to start working to get that down to 50% or less. Because well, when you got more than 10 pieces of glass, and one of them is 60%, the others don't see much use at all.
Yeah.
So and you got to use them to keep them lubricated. So so I'm just waiting for the birds to come out so I can get my 800 going
Exactly.
Yeah.
again.
So Chuck, since we're still talking about lens, do you think it's a good time for us to go through that presentation and then try to engage
Yeah, I
here?
think so. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go. So guys, what I did is I put since we have our first official release of the Nikon lens in 2025, I put a little couple of slides, right, to encourage here some discussions about what had happened with the Z system. What do you think should happen with the Z system? Okay. So this is so it's going to be hopefully a discussion about the panelists, but also with you guys of what
Mhm.
you want to do. You guys know by now that I like to have some uh, structure in our get-togethers here, correct? This is the presentation I put together, right? So actually, I started with this slide, which I actually dig out some of the numbers to give us a little bit of a perspective of what happened with the Nikkor Z lenses, correct? Which most of us here are interested on the Z lenses, correct? And actually, these charts are done from scratch, so they were not copied from an website. I did it specifically for our meeting here today, correct? And so here it shows that so far we have 42 Nikkor Z lenses, right? And Nikon have been producing about 6 lenses per year. Obviously, you can see that it started in 28 with only 3 lenses, but all through the kind of growth period of the system, it have been doing about between 6 and 8 lenses. Okay, the only anomalous year apart from 2018 actually was 2020 and 24. Actually, it's a mistake here, so let me fix it. Okay, where in 2024 we have lower than average. Correct, and you can see it's only uh, 4 lenses, the 3 lenses actually. Okay, uh, we already have this one new lens in 2005, the 35 f1.2s. Right, we have also the other lens that have been announced, that 28 135 f4 that was, I think, was announced quite a few months ago. The power zoom, correct? Now here for the discussion, okay, and you see the data here is that what I want to hear from the panelists, and we go one by one on this, and what I want to hear from you is what we can anticipate in 2025. Do you think that this is going to be a average or a below average year like 2024? But we already have 2 lenses. Are we going to see is these power zooms going to be designated specifically like a cinema lenses, or they're going to be a proper cinema lens uh, 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 line of products? Okay. Uh, are we going to see more of these power zoom lenses, correct? Because I think on the power zoom, particularly the telephoto range, something like a 200 to 400 millimeter power zoom, okay?
Mhm.
Are we going to see exotic lenses, correct? Like the PC lenses, the ultra wide, like uh, Roy was mentioning, more telephoto zooms, macros, etc. Correct. So that's what this chart is for. Now, To start the process, right? Let me move to the next slide here. I have to get here, right? I put these other slides, right? We know that the last time the roadmap was updated, this is the latest version of the roadmap, was in September 2024. So as a lens inventory, this is not complete. I think the other 35 that came out is still not in this chart, and I think there is another lens, a 50 millimeter, that is not in this chart. Okay? Um, uh, Hopefully, Nikon will not call it a road map anymore, but we'll keep updating the lane chart. Remember, we used to have these lane charts before. Okay? Now, what you see here is a table that I'm starting to put together, and with the lenses that we can expect to see coming. Correct. So the lenses that I would like to see are the ones that I mentioned there. I would like to see a telephoto macro. It could be a 200 macro, right?
Bug lens.
Exactly. I'd like to have a 300 macro, right? Something that is in the telephoto range, but has very short focusing distances, right? The ultra wide that we have been talking about, something like Roy, you were talking about, a prime, a 10 millimeter prime, that
Yes,
is
I'd like to get 10.
exactly right. So I actually been going to some of my old photos. I noticed that I have that in a lot of my photos I use the old uh, 1.7 um, the 1.7 teleconverter, correct? Which doesn't exist for the Z mount. That is a very convenient teleconverter, correct? Because you lose only 1.5 stop of light and you get a magnification of 1.7. Right. So as I was
Yeah.
reviewing that, I said, oh, it would be if they come with a 1.7 teleconverter, since I'm a user of the teleconverter, I probably get one. And then, of course, we know that we have the 180 to 600 telephoto, but it's not an S class. And when you use that lens, you can see it has some shortcomings. It's not as sharp as it should be. So I would like to see if Nikon has a S class telephoto zoom, correct? Like the one that I have before, Roy, that 100 to 400 f4, that was a super zoom. And okay, so what I want you guys to do is, and we're going to start here with the panelists. They are going to talk a little bit about that. But if you what lenses would like to see, given the fact that we already have two, and we could have up to 6 lenses. So don't restrain to one lens. Put more than one, and we go through the different panelists here. And if you want to contribute to that, write it also down into the comments. What would you like to see on in this year for the other lenses that have not been announced? And then next week I will update some of the table with some of the comments from the different people and the panelists
Put them, hey, put them in the comments.
in the chats. Exactly,
Yeah,
put it in the chat, please.
yeah. In this, put them in the solid comments, man.
Exactly,
Both on both.
exactly. Could be in the comments after when you have a little bit more time to think, and you watch the video. So let's start with Mr. Roy. What he would like to see.
I'd like to see a perspective control lens 85
Okay.
in the Z mount. It's not just for the 85 is more for product stuff because you want to drop the focus away from the focal plane diagonally, or see, normally a focus area is from the lens to a certain distance away. If you use a PC tilt lens, you can actually ski with it and get a different area of focus in focus. I'd like to see a 200 macro,
Okay.
and maybe a fisheye would be nice.
And what? Well, how many millimeters for the fisheye, Roy?
Um, 8.
8 millimeters. Okay.
The
Wow.
8 to 15 is a nice lens, but it's not as quality. The quality isn't there yet. The old F mount one.
Okay. So you say the 8 millimeter fisheye, the 200 millimeter macro, and a 85 PC lens, 85 millimeter PC lens. Not
Yeah, and probably
necessarily
24
autofocus.
for the architects.
Exactly. Okay. Very good. Very good. So you give us three lenses that Roy would like to see coming. Uh, so what about you, Mr. David?
Well, we got holes in the system right now. I want a good 28,
Okay.
a good 14, and a good 10.
Yeah.
And like I've got the 8 to 15, and I've stopped using it because I'm using my Laowa instead,
Mm.
because I've got a rectilinear 10 and 12 and a 15 millimeter Laowa, and they're great, but they're either f2 or f2.8, which, because of the focal length being so short, I can have longer exposures to make up for the lenses being darker. But Nikon should come up with some, because they got big holes in their lineup in those focal lengths. You know, they're great for the birders.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go 600 and beyond, they're great. But at the other end, but at the same time, yeah, they want ultra wide. But since they bought Red, they've they've got a big gap to fill out there. You know, and there'll be a Red camera coming out with a Z mount soon. I would assume, if you can't get one now, you can probably get a custom one, and so I'll have to be building glass for that. But what happens with an awful lot of the cinema cameras is if you got a lens that you like, you take it into a shop, and for the low price of 40K, they'll make it fit your camera, and then you can use it on manual. So that's what's happening now, and Nikon is in a position where they can fix that. You know, and then they sell more Reds. But anyway, that's the way I look at it, and that's what I'd like to see.
Okay. Very good. We're getting good participation there in the chat. That's good. So what about you, Mr. Randall, and we finish with Mr. Chuck? What is that you would like to see?
Okay, more compact lenses, APS-C lenses. I mean, I know you can use full frame lenses on the APS-C, okay, but you need a wider view. So I would like to see the 10 millimeter, which would be like a 15 millimeter or whatever, or even an 8 millimeter type for the APS-C lenses. And third party do have some. Some are manual focus. They're turning into autofocus now. On the full frame mount, I'd like to see smaller compact lenses. The 26 millimeter is good. I like the 28 and the 40. I think I would like to see a 60 millimeter also in that range. And then maybe even a 90 millimeter, small compact lenses like Sigma has. And it makes all the difference in putting it in your bag. They are now coming with zoom lenses, which a lot of people don't talk about. Is I like the 28 to 70, 70 to 180. And then, of course, we got the 180 to 600. I did something on the, what was it? The 28 to 70, compared that with another lens from the Sony. And that is not stabilized, but the autofocusing was great. It was $1,000 cheaper than the 24 to 70, what I call the trifecta of the Nikkor Z lenses, the S lens. But it was still good. And if you increase your shutter speed high enough, you wouldn't have to worry about the stabilization. But I would like to see some more optically stabilized lenses, of course, to work with the camera. And of course, the 1.2, you know, for a whole past 2 years, everybody wanted the 35 1.2, and it's finally coming out.
Okay.
And with Nikon, they always try for perfection to get it just right before they put it out. And they try to get enough out so it's not like a paper tiger. Look at the lenses that came out with Canon recently. They're already sold out, you know, the newer ones that they came. So that's one thing I have in favor of Nikon, which I've always liked, was yes, they're a little bit slow, but they perfect their lenses, their cameras, and they do eventually come out, and I'm pretty satisfied with them.
But you saw in that chart that with their current capabilities of manufacturing plus design, I mean, we know we got that limit, correct, between 6 and 8 lenses. So I don't think unless they decide to change radically on their what they can do, we're not going to see more than 6 or 8 lenses. And actually, as we said, 2024 was a lower year, which I think some other people here were commenting that probably this year is going to be low, particularly if they try to develop a cinema lens. So Randall, in your case, you separate uh, two lines, DX line and an FX line. You obviously like more DX lenses in general, correct?
Yes.
And particularly because they're
Well, more primes. They already got the zooms pretty well
okay.
squared away.
So
All right, but we need the primes. And the third party is coming in very well. Viltrox is just kicking everybody's butt. They got some new lenses from China that are coming out to competing. And, you know, it's nice. I like the APS-C lenses because you get that 1.5 crop automatically. And then you add that to, let's say, a telephoto, and without even putting a teleconverter on. And that's what I like also. But the nice thing about APS-C cameras is they're smaller, the lenses are smaller, and it's less weight it's more portable. And I like bringing the ZFC with me, and now the Z52 when I travel. And I rather prefer to use those than my big guns, the full frame, because it's more expensive and it's a little bit easier to rip off. Who's the man from Wild Alaska? He was going on a shoot the next morning. He put his gear in his Jeep, and he was woken up when someone broke into his vehicle and stole $10,000 or I think $20,000 worth of equipment. And it's much easier carrying the DX line with you, where you just put in your vehicle. It doesn't take up much space. You know, one camera bag where I have all the lenses. And if you watch my videos, you know, like the R10 on the Canon or even on the Sony APS-C cameras, I got all the lenses in one bag all ready to go. And I just use the different lenses from zoom to primes, and they work fantastic. So, and what I also like to deal with, and I know Albert likes to, is you have a lot of adapters where you can share lenses between camera mounts. So I have the Megadapt ATZ21 Pro adapter that I always use Sony lenses with the Nikon, and they're just as fast autofocusing, and they're great lenses. So a lot of my APS-C line, I am just, you know, if Nikon doesn't make it, well, I got an adapter that I put on the ZFC or the Z52, and I can use the 11 millimeter, I can use the 15 millimeter on the APS-C line on Sony, and they work just as great. and the adapter's real tiny. So, you know, I think portability is the best. Nikon is catching up on the mirrorless. They used to be behind, but the quality that's coming out and the choices that they're doing, I'm in favor of it. I'd rather have them coming out slow, but perfecting the line than just to put stuff out there and it may not last. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. So let's go back. We come back to some comments that you make. So obviously you are very much invested on the DX, but let's go back to here to Chuck and see what Chuck would like to have coming in 2025. What kind of lenses?
I think your mic's off, Chuck.
This guy was selling put in there Siri lenses. Well,
Yes.
you know, I really don't have anything personally that I want to see in Nikon, Jeff. But if they were going to do it, I'd like to see him do some what wide angle lenses.
The ultra wide.
Yeah, and a lot of them, it's almost most time it's going to deal with film. So yeah, I'd like to see them start work on the film less. All right, enough. It's enough. Now, so I'll quit chapping.
Yeah. So obviously Canon, I think, had developed some of these zoom lenses, correct? The kind of Trinity lenses in type of focal length and aperture, correct? Like the zoom, the 28 to 70 and 2.8. That was kind of part of
10
the
to 20 would be nice too.
exactly. So the question for here for the panelists is, Canon has come with I think it's a 28 to 70 f2, right? Would you like to see some of these zoom lenses, the 28 to 70, the 70 to 200 in f2? Yeah, is that possible?
As long as it doesn't get any bigger.
Yeah.
Well, it's unlikely.
Probably double in price. One stop, double size.
So Randall, you were mute. You were trying to say something. Randall, you're on mute. Randall?
You're there.
He's
Okay.
working with sign language.
Yeah.
No.
No?
Okay, now you can hear me. Yeah,
Yes.
I was moving a bowl that the dog was licking and he was kind of slurping. But I would like to have the zoom lenses all in focus where the lens doesn't extend. It just stays one size and
Internal
then it all
focus.
focuses in the middle. That's for better weatherproofing. I want the lenses to be weatherproof.
But
and
all the
durable.
Nikon zoom lenses that are 2.8 are like that, correct?
Yeah,
So,
but you see, you pay money for that. But
sure.
yeah,
But the question, Randall, is whether going to those telephoto ranges, but instead of the prior standard that was 2.8 to try to make it f2.
I would go for that. I do have some F-mount 1.8 zoom lenses, third party that work with Nikon and also with Canon, and they're great. So if you need more sharpness, you can either go to 2.8 or 3 or 4 or 8, but the 1.8 is great because when you go indoors and let's say you're taking a shot of some of the food that you're eating or you're at a party or a wedding, 1.8 helps.
Yep.
And if there's not much light, you don't want any flash or anything. So like The 35 millimeter f1.2 should be great. Just as long as you don't kick up the ISO too high. But these cameras do good, and there's software now that takes care of the noise. So it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah.
So Jonathan is correcting me here. Obviously, I have the F mount 24 to 70, but he said that the 24 to 70 2.8 on the Z mount do change dimension.
That's more of a problem on long lenses where it throws the tripod off balance.
What about, because I remember I ended buying for weight reasons the 14 to 30, but what about the 14 to 24 2.8? Is that also internal zoom?
I think that's internal.
I think Eva has that one.
Yeah, I got the 14 to 30.
Exactly.
That's not it.
Yeah, the was it 14 to 24 or 14 to 28? It might be the 14 to 24. Okay.
I can change on my charts, but I mean. So Roy, what do you have? What do you use?
I like the 24 to 70, but that extends too. But I'm not worried about extensions on shorter lenses. It's only the great big lenses that you worry about because it throws the tripod off balance.
Yeah, Alex is saying that if 17 to 28 is internal zoom.
Yeah, so I have the 17 to 28, 28 to 70, and the 70 to 180. That's what I have. And then, of course, the 180 to 600, which is the Nikon. I think that trifecta has no stabilization, of course, but digital zoom works okay. You can always counteract that with the shutter speed, but it autofocuses just as fast. And they're small lenses. They're more plastically, but they're still sharp. So
a little softer, wide open, but generally just as sharp.
Yeah, I was looking at the chart. Chuck, put the chart again, the presentation, just for a second here.
Yep.
Because I mean, we have the information here at hand. Yeah?
so they just
yeah. I probably need.
Chart.
Yeah, probably I need to view zoom. Let's zoom in a little bit. Here we can see. Oh, no, that one.
can you do a command? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I can put it in presentation mode, and for sure then we can read it. But you can see here, so these kind of trifecta lenses that we were talking about, the 14 to 24 f2.8, the 24 to 70 2.8, the 70 to 200 2.8, is whether some of these lenses can be f2, correct? And
Yeah.
I think Jonathan was saying that this lens is not internal zoom. It changed dimensions as we go along. Right? So that if there is a line for those lenses to change from that. So let me. I'm sorry, I moved here to that one. So anyway. So Chuck, we can go back to the other view, but since we were talking lenses, so
All right.
I'm surprised there's not more power zooms because they're all focused by wire already. So one extra button wouldn't cost much to add to each lens.
exactly. And I think for videographers, the power zoom will be a great thing, correct? Because they can control the zooming in and zooming out in a sort of smooth sort of way. So that's what I was thinking, that we now have that power zoom that is coming, where there will be more power zoom on the longer range, and we know videographers like those.
I think that
Cost almost nothing.
I think you're going to see a lot of people or a lot of lenses change to the um, um, video coming soon. There's going to a lot of, and there's going to be a whole set of um, lenses that are just for the video capability, and we're going to see this have some some about four, uh, 6 lenses coming up, different from a lot of people coming up. All right.
This type, so check that one there. So this lens that was announced in October that is not yet out, correct? That lens is this power suit lens, correct?
So, but that's more for the our cameras, video and ah, not taking the list of other leads are going to be in whatever.
Yeah.
But this is almost like a video lens, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it is,
Yeah.
but it's a kind of what I don't know. We might see them different, but go ahead. Let me shut up.
No,
Yeah. Yeah. I could actually see this lens coming out in 2 different mounts. It could be come out in the Z mount and the RF mount. Because if it's RF, it fits onto the red cameras. Yeah. And so it could be 2 mounts.
I'd like it just if you'd use it remotely. Be nice to remotely control the lens.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
And then that could easily be built into.
and Roy, since
Yeah.
you are, well, you think this type of ring here with this wide, uh, the would that be something that this gear for pulling focus will be one that will work with this type of lens? Do you think this is the do you think this is a focus ring, or do you think this is the zoom ring?
It's hard to tell, isn't it?
I have to
I
tell.
haven't seen that lens yet.
Yeah, so I think the front one is the focal ring, and one in the middle is for the 28 to 135. The outer part is just part of the lens.
Yeah, I think this ring here is probably that utility ring that we have that can be aperture, can be can be exposure compensation.
Right
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
here, yeah.
yeah. And obviously, this is a switch for the power zoom, correct? Wide and
Tight.
I don't know what the T was, but I presume it will be telephoto and wide. I presume that's what the and then so the question is whether they had to have a focusing ring, correct? And it had to have a zoom ring. Which one is which? Because otherwise we're missing one
Well,
here.
Well, the focus ring is one near the T and W, and the zoom is in the middle. The other one by the lens is just part of the where the lens hood goes to. But,
Maybe maybe I think Joe is trying to join Chuck.
we got he's in there.
Okay, very good. So maybe because it's a power zoom, Roy doesn't have to have a zoom ring, correct?
Nice to have
No,
that.
they both have to be geared, Gustavo. Yeah.
It doesn't matter right now. This looks like the zoom ring right here, and this.
We can't see your cursor there.
Okay, so in the threes for the reams. Gosh.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. Okay.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Number 1 is zoom. Number
Front one's just a
2,
dummy, I think.
2 is. Yeah. Gosh. Number 1 is. Gosh.
Focus.
Yeah.
Zoom.
There you go. Yeah. And 3 is. There's 2 is zoom, and the other one is the stupid map, of all the three little 10, whatever.
It's programmable.
Yeah. This is the programmable, correct? We have all our C lenses have this one.
Yeah.
But the question is, so Roy, you're saying that this is dummy, that this is just
I think the front one's a dummy.
so
I think
so
because all the new lenses are focused by wire, there's no real mechanical link between the focus and the actual movement. They're very easy to make them all power zooms.
okay, so but that's okay. But you can see, I mean, as assumed, this will be missing one ring, correct? Because I mean, we can look any of our zoom, correct? We'll have, let's say your hypothesis is correct that this is here. This is nothing, correct? That this is dummy. Right? All right. So David is showing there, correct? So you have your that one. The top is the focus, correct, David? The
Yeah.
middle one
It's
is
your
your
zoom.
zoom, and the bottom one is your whatever
It's your programmable one.
programmable one. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then if Roy is correct, and this is dummy, correct? Then it does. Then we are missing one, correct?
Maybe no programmable one.
Maybe not programmable one.
Yeah, but the thing is, in all of the cinema
Time
lenses, they're all geared.
Hang on.
You know,
You missed the little lathe on the seat from manual and automatic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So that's standard in all the lenses, correct? All the Z lenses have that one.
Well, I mean,
And-
that
and-
regime, it is. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. All right.
Okay. I see where you're going. That if it has this switch, it has to have a focusing ring because you can put it manual.
Yes.
One of these has to focus, correct?
Yes.
That is true, bro. That is true for sure, Chuck. You are absolutely correct. That so, and of course we had our, the other function bot, but let's not. So one of these had to focus because it has this switch.
And this is
One for focus, one for zoom.
yeah.
So and we know this is if one had to focus in the regular order, David, the one that goes into the middle is the focus or is the top?
it's the zoom.
This is the zoom.
The one in the
It's a
middle
zoom.
is the zoom.
Yeah.
On that lens.
Because it's the see there this God. Oh,
Yeah, you see, they got a Sony one that's 28 to 135 f4, and one is for the manual focus, the other one is for the zoom, and I think one is programmable. So,
Yes, but and that's normal. But it's a power zoom or not? I think that there is a power.
well,
zoom.
this one's supposed to be a power zoom. No,
Okay.
I don't think that's a power
hang
zoom.
hang on a minute. The number 2 is a zoom, and it's set for the spacing on a zoom wing or whatever.
Yes.
You got that?
On On the 100 to 400, the first one is the zoom,
Okay.
and the second one is the focus.
Okay. So it's not always the same.
It's not a standard.
Okay.
You know, it's a standard for this lens, but the other lens has a different standard.
Okay.
And this one on the screen has a third standard. So it gets down to there's no standard.
Just to make it interesting.
Yeah.
And the little T and W is just the
power. The power.
Yep, that's it right there. Yep.
Okay.
But that can be done manual too, I assume.
Well, you should probably reprogram them the other way around anyway.
Yeah.
Because historically for cinema lenses, they wanted everything manual. You know.
Well, and that's what Space PPL say that's what he's talking about, the texture. Okay.
Yep.
Indeed, it has different texture, which is useful so that you can feel it with your hand. But the question is whether this will accept, a gear type of system, right? So that it can be either the focus or the zoom can be handled through gears.
I'm sure Nikon will come up with gears that fit on top of the lens. For your geared system that they use for cinematography.
Exactly.
Yep.
So anyway, this is what we are. I think this is an interesting line of lenses. The question whether this is the cinema lines, or like Chuck was saying, that this is not the cinema line. This is just the power zoom line.
I think somewhere in between.
Yeah. See, Joey is join us here.
Hey guys.
You've been really quiet, Joey.
Yeah, I was just listening to you guys talk about lenses. I'm just here to hang out, fly on the wall.
Yes. So what do you think about this?
Just about like these different lenses?
Well, you can make your comments about the 35.
Yeah, whether or not you're going to buy one.
Well, I'm planning on buying a Fuji, actually. I'm thinking about getting a XT5 and maybe getting a couple of Viltrox lenses to go with it. I don't know. It's been nice just shooting with my little ZV-1 for the last little bit, and I think I just want to get something a bit more compact for myself, just something I can take with me more places. And I loved my Panasonic, but I want something that's a bit more fun to shoot with, if that makes sense. Like the Panasonic, I loved it. Like it was great. I got all the shots I wanted. The autofocus was great, but it almost felt like, I don't know. I like Fuji's just because of the dials and stuff. Like that's kind of what got me into street photography originally. And thinking about maybe picking one up here in a couple months if I can find a good deal.
So, but in general, your type of photography, correct? 35 millimeter, 1.2.
35's good, but I find it's kind of a awkward range because, like, for me, I'd rather shoot with a 50 or with like a wider lens than the 35, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 35, like from like the human eye, is quite good, right? Like it's very close to what we see optically. So I think from that perspective, it's really good. But I used to have the Nikon 35 mil 1.8 for my Z6, and I really liked it. It was a really great lens, but I just found I got it because I was like, oh, perfect. This is like right in between a 50 and a 28, and I was like, this is going to be what I want. But then I was like, oh, I can't vlog with this, but it's also not quite the right lens for portraiture. I don't know. It's a nice focal range, but I wouldn't want to just carry that prime around by itself. I think you need other lenses to support it.
Okay. And what about the other discussion that we were having here about future? I mean, we know that you are shooting now Panasonic, but you know the Nikkor line very well. What kind of lenses would you like the Nikkor to produce on the Z mount?
See, I think they've done a really good job so far building out that lineup. Like, I can't really think of a lens that I'm like, oh, like you guys need to get on it, right? Like, I think they've, 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to have said that, right? Like when I first joined with my Nikon Z6, honestly, like there really were, like there was a few lenses in the Z system, but there wasn't enough. And also there wasn't enough third-party support for other lens manufacturers. But, you know, from 3 years ago even to now, it's awesome how far they've come. And optically, their lenses just look sharp. I mean, yeah, if price was like not something I was thinking about, I would probably go with a Nikon Z6 III, right, and shoot that way. But you know, price range wise, it's good. It's very competitive for what it is. Like it's one of the best price cameras, but I'm saving up for a house right now, you know. So it's like I just in my heart of heart, I can't say like, oh
No,
yeah,
no.
100%.
I mean, obviously, we value your opinion, no matter what system do you use at this moment. Correct. We just want you to evaluate the the current availability and say, with money not being a subject, and just looking at the uh, uh, availability of lenses, the roadmap or the length chart, what are the holes given? You probably heard what we were saying, that we Nikon seem to have the capacity to design and produce about 6 to 8 lenses per year, correct? And,
Mhm.
and so that's what we wanted to have your opinion. And of course, you can also dive a little bit on this discussion we were having about that power zoom lenses, since you do a lot of videography, correct? Whether this kind of videography, cinematography line with power zoom is something that you would like to see.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Uh, I'm the kind of person that likes to just like if I'm shooting video, especially, I like to just shoot with one lens, right? I don't really like to switch. And I mean, that was the lens I was planning on getting before I sold my S5 II. Was I was going to get the Samyang 35 to 150. It's a 2 to 2.8 straight through. And to me, like that would be the kind of lens that I don't have to switch. I mean, it's heavy for sure, but I think the weight to benefit ratio, it's good, right? I mean, the same thing with my little ZV1. It's a 2 to 2.8 straight through 28 to 75 millimeter equivalent, and like that's awesome. Like I really like that range. So yeah, I think with what Nikon set themselves up with here with red, I think there's going to be some really cool lenses that are going to come out that I don't think anyone can really predict, and I think that's going to give them a real edge. And I think there's probably going to be some very fun, unique lenses that like there's going to be it's going to be a very niche audience for who they're for. But I think it's the best scenario, right? Like you've got Nikon autofocus and glass combined with like red color science. I'm super stoked on that. Like I think it's going to be really cool. And I mean, like from a videography perspective, I mean, Nikon's killing it. The Z8, the Z9, the Z6 III, they all have got great features that like as a hybrid shooter, like you don't need to switch. Like you can just shoot everything with one camera body. You don't have to go back and forth, which, you know, I don't think all camera systems have that, right? So yeah, I don't know. That's what I got.
No, no, I noticed that even the wildlife videographers, they don't change lenses as much. They prefer to have, I think they prefer to have a zoom lens, good quality zoom lens, heavy. They are going to be working out of a tripod anyway, correct?
Mhm.
With a big camera attached, so they don't seem to mind too much the size of the lenses, correct?
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think if you're only going to be shooting with one lens, I mean, yeah, lighter's great, but not at the trade-off you have when you get a variable aperture lens, right? Like if you're really wanting to shoot professionally with one lens, I mean, I think most photographers and videographers are willing to make that compromise. You know, just do some push-ups. It's okay. Do some push-ups. You'll be able to hold that thing up just fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't be a wimp, like Chuck said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with a heavy lens. It just means it's solid. It's built well. You know, like if it's too light, that'd be too easy.
Yeah, I enjoy when I was in Japan photographing some of these, you know, macaque, the snow monkeys. They
Mm.
were a crew of professional people as well, correct? Videographers. And they were carrying, there was one guy that obviously was the one that was uh, kind of the front man of the talking head, right? There was one guy with a tripod and a big, massive lens, the videographer, and there was a sound guy, and that videographer was, you know, I mean, this was uphill and tough for me, but obviously a young guy, but it was a massive zoom lens on that camera.
Totally. Well, I remember when I was living in Seoul, I covered this festival. It was like a. Have you guys heard of like Holly High, the
Yes.
Indian festival? Yeah, yeah, with all the paint that they put on their faces, and it's beautiful, beautiful festival. Anyways, long story short, the nonprofit I was working at was all surrounding intercultural relations between Koreans and foreigners. So my boss sent me to this festival to yeah, just to take some photos and just kind of represent the company. And as I was taking photos with my 70 to 300, I had a Nikon, what was it, D 7100. That's what I was shooting on. And this big tour bus pulled over, and all these photographers got off this bus. It was a photography club, and like they had like the lenses you use on safari, and they all set up in a row and started taking pictures of the foreigners. And I was like, someone scheduled this. They were like, there's going to be weird foreigners in this field. Let's go take photos. We started taking photos of them taking photos of us. And they got so mad. They were like, how dare you, sir? And so we're taking photos of me. I take photos of you. They're like, never. That is the worst. Oh, oh, Randall, you said, Joe, why not the Fuji XM5 with open gate? Yes, I would love that camera too. That's an awesome looking camera. Although I don't think
And it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but I don't think it's got a viewfinder, does it?
I thought it did.
Maybe it does. Yeah, if it does, I mean, yeah, cheap is
Yeah.
great. Open gate's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'll probably get like a couple Viltrox lenses, and I wouldn't mind getting one of the Sarui lenses for video. I feel like would be kind of fun. I'm probably just going to try to do like a 2 to 3 lens kit sort of thing. Then I could just keep it with me a bit more frequently. So yeah, no, I'm stoked on it. I enjoyed shooting with Fuji when I was with them before with my XT20. So I think it'll be cool to get back into that ecosystem and pick up some SLR lenses and adapt them on like the old days and rock some focus peaking. So yes, no viewfinder. I know it's such a bummer, like because the XM5 is great.
They're all going to like the S9 and for vloggers and stuff. So. And they see more people using the viewfinder or the LCD screen than the viewfinder. So I don't know. I like viewfinders, or even in the rangefinder style on the Sony A7CR and stuff. I would rather have that, especially when you're out in daylight and you have all this light and you can't even see the LCD screen. One thing with Sony's, except for their newer cameras, their LCD screens aren't that great. And so basically what I've learned using the Nikon F cameras with the viewfinder, I like using the optical view, and then you look at the live view, all right, for what pictures you take. Make sure that your resolution, your aperture is correct and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I use all cameras, and I use them in different situations. So some cameras I use for the outdoors, and other cameras I use for either car vlogging or just inside, where I don't have to look through the viewfinder. Just use the LCD screen.
Yeah,
Siri is nice.
yeah.
They're great on anamorphic lenses, and my candy store, my camera store that I go to, has those lenses. and they use them all the time. People have a lot of video equipment, and they all recommend the Siri. So I think they're called Siri. I'm not sure.
I think Gigafish 2.2XO was asking about that serial lenses. And obviously, you, Randall and Joy, you have some experience on that. So anyway, I think, guys, based on the discussion that we have about the power zoom, we're going to have to look at those videos when this is not announced, but actually that comes out, correct? Because I reviewed that that announcement was made in October, correct? So obviously, Nikon is letting videographers know that there is something coming up for them, correct? Because that's the only reason why they had to give such a several months of time in advance of a lens that has not come out yet, correct? So we'll be interested to find out.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that it's going to be on two mounts, RF and Z.
That could be. That could be.
Yeah.
Hot Brian.
Obviously, as we know, the CP Plus, correct, which is that Japan photographic trade fair they do, is coming at the end of February. Right, the fact that this 35 millimeter was released now is that all these lenses get released ahead of the event, not during the event, so that they can have some demos during the event. That is, I think that's my experience with a lot of new technology. I don't know, Roy, if you agree with me.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's that lens has been floating around amongst reviewers for a couple of months.
Exactly. So maybe we see these also in CP Plus, correct? In this, we see both the 35 being used and in there, correct, as well as this 28 to 135. But we need to watch it to see what it is.
Yep.
Well, 28 to 135 seems a hybrid somewhere between cine and still lenses.
Exactly.
It seems,
But
it seems really
it's not that the role of, I mean, you consider red to be the professional cinema line, and then you have kind of the hybrid shooter, correct? The shoot both photos, but also is a serious videographer like Joy, correct? Eh, and then they will have to have this type of lenses, correct? That allows them to split, I don't know, 50-50 time between videography and photos, right?
I'd love to be able to control a lens remotely anyway.
And probably being a wired lens, you can do it, correct?
All lenses now are wire controlled. Then there's no helical mechanism in them anymore.
No, but for the zoom,
Hmm.
correct?
And for the focus usually.
Yeah, because we can change the focus and everything remotely, but not the zoom in the zoom lenses.
Well, that's maybe what the middle ring, it could be the zoom to make it so they can hook it on a mechanical motor on the outside.
I'm glad to find out. It's bothering me now.
Hey, you have to check with your contacts, Roy.
Yeah.
Now you got something to do this afternoon.
I heard about it last year, but I wasn't that interested because it's more of a cine lens. But thinking about it, it's getting more and more interesting.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so guys, let us know what you would like to see. We will try to compile it, and then next week we can talk a little bit more, all right, about the new Z lenses, the cinema lenses, the macro lenses that we want to see, the ultra wide. Obviously, the ultra wide, there is a big gap, right?
Huge.
Yeah, there's going to be big that.
So let's do another round here, discussion of the Sigma 800. Obviously, we know Nikon is very well positioned in the in the zoom and the telephoto category, correct? With all the PC lenses, with the prime, uh, with teleconverters. I mean, they really, really cover us, the wildlife photographers, very well, right? But it will be. I agree with you guys. It will be nice to have third-party lenses, correct? I mean, the third-party lenses, and I think some of you saw the Simon discussion about this lens, and I don't know whether there have been more than that, right? There was a little bit of a controversy among here the panelists about whether it was a PC or not PC lens, whether it was only for Canon or it will be in all the different mounts. So what is that we concluded about?
Well, if it's the same price as Nikkor 800, they won't be selling many to Nikon owners.
Big
No.
difference in weight.
Well, and but if it's that price and it's got a Canon mount and a Sony mount, that's the people that got to watch it because it's quite a bit cheaper than the Canon and the Sony equivalent.
Exactly. So your idea is that it will be basically primary for Sony and Canon users at the price range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Chuck? You agree with that?
Well, yeah, of course it does. And, Nikon has it beat,
Nothing like a PF lens.
Yep.
Yeah. And the question, if they try to sell it to the Nikon shooters, okay, they need to make it significantly less expensive, correct?
Yeah.
And lighter.
And lighter. We don't know the specs, correct, yet on that Sigma.
We don't know.
Well, on that note, guys, I'm
worked out PF. Anything can happen.
Exactly.
I got to run, guys. We'll see you next week.
Okay. See you, Joey.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Yes. Yeah. So the question is indeed if it will be regular lens. I mean, with all or a PF lens, and I think the consensus is that it's not going to be PF.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
And Simon,
I was using a 500 millimeter PF today, and it's still sharp.
I know
So-
for sure.
Well, it was just as sharp as the day it was made, Randall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, do they really need to make it a Z? I mean, you can still use the adapter.
Yeah, I think
put
the
it
bigger
on
mount
the,
makes a difference.
No, I think Randall, with the 600 PF lens and the 800, I don't think they're going to ever make
the 500.
a 500, but they could make a 300, correct?
I was
Yeah.
about to say that.
Yep.
Or a 400.
That is there you go. That is good reason for it to still. It's good reason to be make it.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, I would say the 400 unlikely, David, because they have that 400 4.5, which is a lot of people love that lens, correct?
I love it.
And so it will. I think it will not. If you go with a 400 PF, which could be slightly lighter, but that lens is light enough, correct? There will be not so much differentiation. But if you were to go with a 300, which was a lens that people used to love, like the 500 PF, a lot of people like that 300 PF,
Yeah,
right? In the F mount.
But if you have a look at the number of 50s that Nikon has, they got a 1.8, a 1.4, and a 1.2, and the number of 35s that they got the 1.8, 1.4, 1.2, and having another 400 is probably not likely, but it could happen. And because you want to go for choice.
Yes.
Yep. And and a lot of these lenses that they say they have a life of 10 years, but if Nikon engineers come across with a new technology that works really well,
Mhm.
and they have it for one focal length that they can transfer to another focal length, they'll do that. And it because it's the glass that sells the cameras.
Okay.
You know? And right now, when it comes to the longer glass, it's Nikon's price beats everybody, and
And having PF.
well, and having the PF is really nice because you can walk around with it all day. And if you're somebody like Chuck, used to a 65-pound pack, he could walk around with a dozen of them.
He probably does.
Yeah, he probably has a 65-pound pack just ready to go. So when he goes for his daily walk, he takes it with him.
No, too much.
What, you knocked it down to 40?
But so our conclusion here on the Sigma lens, right, is that is that that lens is going to be for the Sigma lens 800, going to be for more Canon, L
Yep.
mount, and the Sony.
Yeah.
People are going to pay that anyway.
Exactly. If they are allowed, correct, to produce for those mounts.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Because imagine for Canon that will be a direct competitor with a very expensive 800 5.6 traditional lens that cost, I don't know, $13,000, $14,000. So anyway, so not for us except Randall, who has all the system.
Well, Orlando will have two,
Exactly.
one each mount.
So early on, we were talking about the cool peaks, right? And I remember seeing some commentary early on about the cool peaks 1100. That actually, the reception of that one was not that great, correct? Because most of the people say that it's just a minor change.
Refining.
Yeah, it's mostly the way the use the charger, correct? The USB charger, USB C connection that is now imposed by the European Union. Uh, but apart from that, all the specification is uh,
Probably still a good travel camera, though.
yes.
My wife's got the old 900 series. She loves it.
Yeah. So what would you guys agree that and this is a combined zoom and I mean it has a zoom range but also have a electronic zoom or a
Both.
well correct. So to get to the 3000 millimeter is a combination of whatever zoom they have plus electronic zoom, correct?
I don't know if it's like that. Sony, it's different with different focusing, but with the Nikon, it'll say either 24 to 3000, and it's what, a 65x zoom. So with the one and what 3/4 sensor, you times it by 2,
Mm-hmm.
so 24 to I forget. I think it's a 1 3/4 sensor on the 1100. It's just like, I think it's the same thing. The only difference is it has a USB-C port now instead of the
That's a
old.
nice touch.
So
I hate the old mini
Yeah,
USB.
they had to come up with a new camera because of the EU charging standards.
Yeah, but you can see there, Chuck, I'm sharing here from Nikon Rumors, correct? It's a 24 to 3000 millimeter.
right. The 1000 was just like that also. It just didn't have a USB-C port. So I don't really see that. The only difference is it's still 4K 30. So that's all I can do on the video. But I think everything is the same. Same size, everything.
And how many
But would you rather take a camera like that on vacation, or would you rather take an APS-C camera that can change lenses? So,
Neither.
I'll take my Z8.
Exactly.
On my D850.
It's not. I'm not for. I'm not. Wait a minute. It's not there for. Forget it.
or like for our users like us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's for the regular person that
Yes.
just want one camera, not all they have to worry about is storage and
That's
battery
it.
life.
Yeah, that little bit. Yep.
Yeah, we don't fit the criteria for that camera.
Yeah, but I still like dabbling with toys. So.
Except for Randall.
So, Randall, did you have one of those cool Peaks cameras yourself or not?
No, not Coolpix, but I've had Panasonic and Sony zoom lenses.
Okay.
And I just picked up the RX100 Mark 7, and it was used. They're not making them anymore.
Okay.
I have a dummy battery with it. So, and I've done some experiments with car vlogging, 4K 30, pictures, of course. And I like taking that camera with me going downtown because I can zoom in some shots. That's why I was asking earlier before the show started what you might think of the bridge camera, because that 3000, I did watch a video with the 1000 about 2 or 3 years ago where they compared it with the Panasonic one and the Sony one, where the range as it went farther out didn't really stay in focus. But Nikon did a pretty good job. But, some people said, well, F8 is kind of high at the, when you zoom in. But if it's on a hot day, and if you start seeing the atmosphere, with the heat, you may want it at F8. So I don't know. You're also dealing with the 1 3/4.
I don't think it matters, Randall. The atmosphere doesn't change too much if it's F4 or F8, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's you have some sort of, heat wave or something like that. It's just that you see it when you zoom in, right? You see it more when you zoom in.
Yeah, but when I was surveying, my scope was the 30 times resolution. And there's a lot of days after 9 o'clock, I couldn't see a kilometer with it. My instrument could still measure it, but I had no idea what I was measuring.
Exactly.
To.
Yeah. I think this is a good point that Gigafish 2XO is saying, right? That a lot of people, particularly not bird photographers, but birders, in terms of people that want to have, they're looking for birds. They just want to have their list of birds that they watch. This may not be a bad camera, correct? Because the only thing they need is not a great image of a bird. They just want to have a record.
Yeah.
They saw that particular bird.
Yeah.
And 3,000 millimeter get you a hell of a lot close. So the traditional birders, correct, may want to use that one just because they want a record, correct? Remember, they will go with the binoculars, so they say, okay, put it in my checklist, but I want to be sure that get accredited or whatever they do.
Yep.
Well, it's 3,000 millimeters at f8. To get that equivalent with the 800 PF, you need two times teleconverters on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then what are you then? You're,
Or you can crop.
well, you're f32 or something like
Yeah, you
that.
can go.
F8 sure beats that.
Yeah.
You know,
So there is the cases here for, like you guys were saying, for convenience. You have one lens, and you travel with that lens and you take whatever. There is also these special photographers, correct? Or people that, hey, let me take a photo of the moon. Let me take more casual photographers that don't need the high quality of the image because they're not going to print or anything. They just want a record of what they saw.
yeah. If you're only going to put it on the internet, does it matter? It's good enough. Yeah.
But the fact that Nikon decided to basically update the camera for this kind of regulations, that means that it's selling, correct?
Yeah, that's, you know, must be.
Now, having said that, remember, and we will talk that next week because I'm preparing another of these charts. Nikon, in average, they release two cameras per year. I don't think this P 1100 is one of the two cameras that we're going to see. Though this cool pix line doesn't count for the Z cameras, right?
Should be, yeah.
Because
Well, you can't
remember
put
that.
a you can't
Go
put a,
ahead, Ben.
can't put a Z lens on it, so it can't count on the for the Z camera line.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
remember, I think it was before the end of the year. They said there were two registered cameras in Asia. Right? This could be one of those registered cameras, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that this camera is one of the two new cameras that we should see in this year.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the discussion. I think some people, I think Woody was mentioned some of that before. We're trying to bring the discussion about the Z9 II. Okay?
No.
Or the
So,
Z8 too.
or the CA2, which you follow, correct? And
It may come out first. It's so popular.
yeah, I think, well, yeah. So I think let me scroll back to go to what I think it was early on in the show. I believe it was Woody. Woody, if you're listening here, probably you can repost what you said if I'm correct. I don't find it easy to hear. No, I don't see it. But I remember reading it as we were talking about that. That I think he mentioned some of the the YouTubers have indicated. I think he said that the North Nordstrom were saying that it was going to be releasing next year, right, in 2026, right? I cannot find it, Woody.
Yeah, I think it's at the beginning. See, I'm looking search.
Yeah, I cannot find it. Anyway, so what do you guys think that the C9? Because I think the argument that I heard from somebody else was that we may get a development announcement this year, but we may get the actual camera of the Z9 II for the next Winter Olympics, which happen in February, right? And that kind of makes sense, correct? Or at least follow a logic, because remember the C9 originally was announced before the end of the year, but it actually came into everybody's hands around Christmas time. And we saw a lot of photos coming, uh, showing the capability of the C9 during the last Winter Olympics, which is exactly, it, it's going to be exactly 4 years uh, the next Winter Olympic in 2026.
4 years is a long time in cameras.
It is a long time in camera, but obviously. So, what do you think about that
I
logic?
think it's possible.
I think it could happen, because it kind of fits in with the time frame to develop the XP8, which has to be done first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then as like Jeff has been saying, is well, he's been is it's got to have the bus speed fast enough to write to the new CF Express version 4
That's right.
cards, and it's got to have a sensor that's faster readout to go with the XP8, and hopefully they have 16-bit color.
Well,
Oh, don't please me.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and if we got 16-bit color, we'll have more dynamic range. We'll have another couple or 3 stops of dynamic range.
Yes.
Which would be fantastic. But because they have more dynamic range, we'll have bigger files. So we need a bigger processor, and then they got to have a faster bus speed so we can write to the cards faster. So a development announcement at the end of this year is about right.
yeah. But in the same rumor mill, David, the same people that have been saying that it's coming for the next Olympic, they were saying that it's not going to be a revolutionary change. It's going to be more like a minor update, like so something like 16-bit, or it is a major update, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we might have the Z9X
The
instead of the 2.
the
Yeah, because it's minor.
I love the cameras the way they are already. I'm happy.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing the matter with
No.
mine. I'd love to have 16-bit color, but 12 or 14 now is good. Good enough for a lot of things.
16 bits, 2 more blocks of 2 more dynamic range.
At least,
the only camera I see this year is a Z6 Z7 or 3. Yeah. That is if they make the 3.7 the camera, but we could see an likely not likely to get, but the whole D5 3
500.
yeah, Z500 or Z500 or whatever.
Before the C9 II.
Yeah, I think because they're only what do they have left in this for this year?
Exactly. Well, Randall will buy that one because it's an APC.
Yeah.
Just to try it out.
Randall, if they do one of those and it's more than 30 megapixels in DX format, correct? I will buy one too, correct? Just because I think it's a good complementary to the system that we have. So I'm not saying. I think there is, like you have been saying all night today, there is some benefit for the smaller camera with the smaller sensors.
Yeah.
Mostly in price.
Well, right. Yeah.
Well, with the Z the Z D500 broke that roll with the 2,300 and go.
Randall bought a D500, correct?
Yeah.
Show
I've
it
gone
again.
back to the
Show it again,
850.
Roy.
Yeah. E500.
Exactly.
That's one of the least used cameras lately, though. I like
Yep.
the D850 still, though.
Yeah.
Also got one down here.
So going back to the C9, correct, and that dilemma, correct? If it's a minor update, correct, and then how to convince people to buy that camera rather than staying with the C9? Right?
Has to be a big update. Has to be a big change.
Exactly,
Or no one's going to buy it.
and that's a dilemma, correct?
They've made too good a camera with the Z9 already.
Yeah, but I think it will be there. It will be, you know.
So for that reason, I agree with David. It's not what the rumors are. The rumors are minor update, but I think I agree with David that if they do speed aid and and they have to give something significant for moving the people with C9 to the C9 too, correct? Otherwise, hey, everybody stay, right?
Pro photographers don't change without a reason. They don't do it just on a whim. And I think Z9 is mainly pro photographers.
Yeah, the Z9 it's got a lot on it, and it's I had I used mine for a year before I got my 8, and I you know and I used it as a walk around camera with my 24 to 120 on it, and I was over to the UK for 6 weeks. It's a great camera. It's not heavy. Like I'm used to carting around heavy equipment when I was out surveying. I had
Exactly.
nothing. I thought nothing of carrying 40 pounds wearing snowshoes, you know, and being out all day and never taking the snowshoes off, you know. And it's because where we were, we couldn't get in with the snowmobile. You know, we had to fly or walk. You
Exactly.
know, so carrying the equipment didn't bother me because on top of that, I had to carry an axe in my hand. You know, and like everything that we have now is light, and you know, but there is lighter gear out there. But I would like, but Nikon is, if they're coming out with the new processor, they got to have a sensor that goes with it, because for the dynamic range, and they got 16-bit color, and maybe they'll go to 18-bit color. You know,
16 bits a nice size because that's 2 more stops of dynamic range.
yeah. But see, Red already has 17 stops, and you can knock it up to 20. I don't know how they do it. You know,
Well, the dual ISO gives you an extra stop or so, but there's a limit depending on the bit resolution of your camera.
yeah, and but we also have the problem with with the X-Speed 8 shouldn't handle that. I hope. Yeah. And then
People
we'll have
don't realize,
Yep.
like a JPEG's only got 8 bits, 8
Yep.
stop because it's 8 bit. Without the dual ISO, that's the limit.
yeah. And like when we send something in to be printed, it's JPEG and it's 8-bit.
Yes.
But if we got 16 bits, we can move those colors around so it fits into 8. You know. But anyway,
That's nice.
yeah. So what's that, Randall?
Well, I got the F-mount DF on the bottom. I got the Z6 on the left in the middle. I got the Z52 on the right in the middle. And then I got the ZF on the top. So, yeah, I like old and new cameras.
It's fun using the old cameras, though.
I think you just like cameras.
And see, I have a 28 millimeter. I got a 40 millimeter. I got on the DX 12 to 28, and that one is a power zoom. So that's a great lens. The only thing is, I've noticed that sometimes you have to reset the settings in the menu because it'll stop working all of a sudden. But and then of course the DF right there, that's a 16 megapixel camera. The same thing as the new P1100, which is 16 megapixels. Does that matter to anyone?
Full frame. Full frame though.
Yeah. Well, this is full frame. What about the P1100? What do you think? Is that good enough?
Good enough for some
16
people.
megapixels?
It's not the megapixels, it's the dynamic ranger one. With a little sensor, you're restricted.
So on my RX100 Mark 7, I got 24 to 200. And I can't remember the highest aperture on that. I think it's an f4, f2.8 to, or an f2 to f4, something like that. But you know, with the 1100, it's what, an f4 to f8, or is it a 2.8? I can't remember.
It's probably a 4, it's probably pushing it.
Yeah.
But if you go to a camera like the old DF, the dynamic range is astounding on those things.
It is.
Big photo sites, big sensor, 16 megapixels. It's a lovely combo.
Just a little reminder here, guys. So last week, of course, we have a fantastic photo review. So I suggest you guys start selecting your photos for the next photo review, which will be the March photo review. It's going to take place Saturday, March 1st. Correct? I think we are about 3 weeks away from that. So there's a reminder here. Continue sending your photos to Jess Neville in Selected Imagery 1@gmail.com. Again, JPEG format 48 pixels in the login or bigger. So Jeff is okay with bigger. Okay. The deadline is typically the Friday before. So that would be February 28th. And you can send it early with a description of your photos, and Jeff will appreciate it so that he can put everything together. Correct. So I didn't want to distract yet from the discussion that we're having, but we need to put a reminder to make sure that people start thinking about what they're going to submit for the next photo review.
Yep. That deadline is noon on the Friday.
Exactly.
That's noon Eastern time. So
Exactly.
yeah, we can make the change next time, Gustavo, on
All
this.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't upset Jeff.
Exactly.
We don't need a mad Jeff anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
That's sad, Jeff. That's okay. But Mad Jeff, no, we don't want to see that.
no, we don't want a mad Jeff.
Or as Mossman says, poor sad Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't need that either, you know.
Yes.
Yep. And yeah,
So what else is happening around, guys, on the camera world?
Well, I don't know what we're I'm waiting for, but I guess, you know, the 33, 35, 1.2 is a good start.
That's right.
I'm trying not to buy it already.
Yep.
I usually fail though.
Yep.
You don't pass that test well.
No.
Westcott got a nice new strobe out, FJ800. For those that use lighting,
Is it on March 5th or 1st?
No, I think if I look here at calendar, the first Saturday
It's March 1st.
is March 1st.
Yeah.
So it had to be the deadline that
It's got to be noon the day before.
on the which is this time will
It's
be
February.
28th.
Okay. Yep.
But Robert, I double check and we make sure we still have time, so to be sure that I have the right
Yeah.
information.
And if Robert gets his in on March the 5th, they'd be in plenty of time for the April show.
Exactly.
Actually, maybe too early because said Jeff may just lose them.
Exactly. So anything happening on the other camera manufacturers? I typically don't check on those.
no, I'm so bored. I've gone back to the D850.
There was some discussion about it.
Damn it. Red Whip. Gosh, forget it. But he asked, what are you guys shooting this weekend?
So
Well, I was going to go downtown this past weekend because the rodeo's starting up. They had a cattle drive, but some things happened. There was a shooting, and then they're doing road work downtown. So, they got construction everywhere, and the places I want to go, you can't get to. They had a beautiful pelican at the, no, not a pelican. It was, was it the bird with all the feathers? Like for NBC?
A peacock.
Yeah, peacock.
Yes.
And peacock attacked two kids who got too close to it. And
Good.
now the parents are suing Botanical Gardens
Oh my
for
God.
$250,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like Walmart telling the two kids to stop running or they're going to get hurt. One of them got hurt. The parents filed a lawsuit against Walmart and won.
Oh my God.
That's
So,
silly,
you
isn't
know,
it?
Hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw that one, but I saw the video from Mike Ranger today. I think he posted it before, but I just saw it today. That he was in a safari in Africa, and he broke the
foot.
the
The
foot
foot came off.
of the
Yeah.
of the
The screws
70
broke off the lens.
70 to 200. Yeah.
Wow, that is because when I glance at the video, I say, this is the issue with the detachable foot, but it was not. It was actually
The screws.
the screws. That is scary.
So,
And you have that one too, Roy, correct? That's
Yeah, that's the one where your foot came apart on me and sabotaged my Z9.
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
So was it the screws or was it just the
No, it's just
locking mechanism?
in the bag. I must have accidentally knocked the little tightener thing, and it was just loose.
Okay.
Then when I put it on the tripod, it just fell off.
But if he managed to strip the actual screws, although he was using a third party foot, correct, on that one.
No, not in that.
No. That was the Nikon. That was the 70 to 200. What he was using was an extra string because he's so accident prone that he had two extra parts holding the camera and the lens that at least it saved it from going into the mud.
That lens.
Yeah, there you go. It was the foot that broke, and it was the four screws that attached to the lens,
Wow,
and it was stripped out.
that's
So-
bad.
Yeah. So.
Just fell off again.
But no camera attached.
No.
Uh,
I
Chuck,
loosened off the nut and it just fell off.
Chuck, put Roy big so that he can.
I just loosened off the nut and it just fell off.
Okay.
Oh my god!
But
You did tighten it, right? And it fell off again.
No, it was loose.
Oh,
I
okay.
loosened it just to see what would happen.
But
Yeah.
for him, it was
That's
not
good.
bad. So Roy, can you show the take that food and show the put it closer to the camera. So they have 4 Allen.
Yeah, those were ones that stripped.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow.
I stripped from the body of the lens.
So it doesn't matter if he's using a third-party foot or not. Those
No,
screws
yeah.
are still Nikon screws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the third parties, you undo those 4 screws
Yes.
to replace the foot as well.
Yes. Wow, that's
Yeah.
scary.
Not happy.
But
Need
when
a
you
bigger
put
lens.
when you put that one on and you tighten it up, it doesn't wiggle, correct? In your case,
No, it once it's on, it's fine. Just I was very slack that day. I must have knocked that little tighten knob. And
exactly,
as soon as I grabbed it, I usually grab it by the foot like that.
exactly,
You just press the button accidentally, and then it's mobile.
exactly.
Much
Wow,
more mobile than I
exactly.
hoped.
So the question is whether that incident that my ranger has is a common one or not.
Well, this one fell a couple of feet onto the laptop. It killed the laptop, but the lens itself on the camera was fine.
Mm-hmm.
The mount to the camera broke. The Z9
Exactly.
lens mount snapped, but this held. Nothing on this lens broke,
Exactly. Okay.
and this
Oh,
quite heavy lens.
Now, Randall, he was talking to also having a safety line. as
Yes.
well, right?
Yes, you can get.
Okay. So he likes the one where he has 2 cameras, where he can pick up one camera or the other camera, and on one of his accidents, it came loose on one of the cameras, and he broke the camera. So he started doing a second line to each cameras, and then he realized that the strap that he had was a lousy strap. So he asked for some advice to get him a better camera strap. Yeah, those are great.
You have if you ever string up a lighting or anything up in a basketball court, you have to use these by the law, just for safety.
Okay, so Roy, can you put the models of those safety straps? Do you know what the part numbers are?
No idea. I've had it for so many years, I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay.
But you got to loop one end and loop the other end, and I usually put a carabiner on the end of it as well.
Exactly.
But if you hang a heavy piece of equipment up in the rafters somewhere, you have to have something like this to secure it as well.
So
on
it would
top
be
of what-
interesting to find out because I don't use them anymore that much, but at one time I used to have a safety strap as well on my 500 f4, right? Because it came loose actually from the I put it inside my Jeep with the tripod attached, okay, and I drove a little while, and it got loose, okay, so it disconnected from the tripod completely, correct. So when
These are too long and they're probably too heavy duty for cameras, but these are mainly for lighting.
and good for Nikon, correct. My lens fell with the camera in the ground, and nothing happened. nothing. It was working perfectly well. Now it was not in the pavement. I was off road, so it came down. But having a safety strap that you can basically connect, let's say, from the tripod directly, one of the legs of the tripod to, let's say, the where you attach um, the straps, correct? That will be good. Either as so I would like to see what those, because the one that I have, Roy, it was something that I made myself with some cord, correct?
Yep.
But this one that you have
Yeah.
seems to be more professional. So I'm sure
Lenses used to have loops just
exactly,
for,
Yeah.
just for attaching things like that.
or
And
straps,
straps.
exactly.
And
But you can,
they were a wonderful idea.
so having a safety line on the long telephotos is a good idea, correct? The 600, the 400. So
A lot of money to drop them. But then again, my 70 to 200 had no problems once it was dropped. It's just the mount on the camera suffered.
exactly. So Randall is showing something there, Chuck. Let's see.
Yeah. So you see, this goes to the bottom of the camera. This goes to the side of your camera. And I used to hold this with the Z9. And it's very sturdy, good, buckles and everything. Never had a problem. But, you know, what he had was it was a fabric and it was pretty flimsy. This is leather and it's strong.
Yeah,
So,
I noticed that he has something that was like elastic.
yeah. So I would have never, you know, with important gear like that, no, I wouldn't have gotten something like that.
So that would be an interesting topic. Let's research it a little bit on what's a practical safety strap, correct? So you have,
You,
instead of
you
having,
could start with a peak design.
exactly, but
Things like
then you have to go from there to either your tripod
mm,
or to or a different place in your strap, correct?
just don't get the Chinese fake ones. They
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. And on the tripods, I would recommend spikes too. You know, ones where you can have detachable spikes. Because how many times you've known where a tripod has fallen over because of the high wind and stuff. And,
Typically,
But
that's
I never seen the rock spike held. You know.
yeah. I don't. I have spikes as well, but I typically most of the uh,
Big one.
oh
most of
yeah.
most of the problem, Randall, with tripods, correct, is
Yeah.
Oh,
people don't tie the screws, correct?
We,
The, if you
Yeah,
don't
there you
tie
go.
exactly,
So you just screw it in. And
Yeah.
some,
we're in
there you go. Yeah.
and
yep.
just stabilizes your tripod. It's good for tourists as well. When they get away. I might sharpen them actually.
so anyway, I think we need to do a little bit more research on the safety lines. Those that you have, Roy, are fantastic to have.
They're mainly for heavy duty lights, so they're a bit heavy duty for cameras.
Yeah.
They got them in the on
They-
Okay, okay. So do you have it open there, Chuck?
No, but I can open it.
Okay.
Uh,
I think it's this lighter ones for cameras.
Exactly. Exactly, because if anything, and this is what happened to him, correct? Because if you have a secondary attachment, like a safety line, typically if the whole system falls apart,
There's always
even
a
if,
chance you're not going to do up something properly in the
even
first
if it,
place.
even if it's only delay the fall, correct, or the, that's enough to prevent big camera problem, correct?
Mm.
If it's
Expensive camera problem.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
So anyway, it had to be practical enough that it doesn't interfere with the regular use of the strap or the tripod, correct? But it makes sense, and we okay. Here's Randall sharing some of these. So this is when Amazon, Randall.
You could probably use just picture hanging wire.
Yeah, but you want something that looks
That's not going to break.
that's not going to break and it looks okay and it's flexible, correct? Otherwise,
I don't care what it looks like as long as it does
yeah,
a job.
I read one of the commentaries in the in the Mac Ranger uh, comments, correct? That somebody using as a safety, they were using some Ziploc, no Ziploc, no zip,
Zip
what is
ties.
zip ties, and that's okay. But
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and I carry zip ties on my bag, but you don't want to have something that you have to put on and then cut off when you finish, correct? So something like what you show Randall make more sense. And Roy, for sure, I think what you have that makes sense too, correct? And probably for safety reasons, is good.
Yeah.
I think I heard somebody else. I don't know who it was that was doing some shooting with a camera that was attached to the front of the car. Okay, and again for regulations, they needed to. So
Has
if
to be
they
cabled
attach
as well.
they need to put some safety line, correct? If you attach the camera to your bumper, correct? Or to your
Those suction cups that hold cameras on cars are not very safe.
Yeah, a lot of them just use suction, and I would never recommend that.
no,
But
this was a heavy duty type of shoot, Randall. It was with the clamps and stuff like that, correct?
They
yeah,
usually start with the suction cups, huh?
No
Then the
safety
clamps are
part.
a bit after.
But they were using, in addition to the clamp and
Mm.
they were having, like Roy was saying, some safety lines so that if the vibration loses some of the clamp, the equipment will not fall. Mostly not for damaging the equipment, but basically creating third party damage, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, I mean, a camera still weighs quite a bit of
If you're
quite a bit, right?
photoing in a professional environment, you have to have certain rules, and that's
Exactly.
one of them.
Exactly. Okay. Around that window that you showed, that was what in Prime.
yes,
Okay.
that was Amazon Prime. I didn't go to B&H, but people can search. You
It's
just
pretty
look
common.
for. He was looking for kind of like a holster where it can handle two cameras, and I just like using one on the camera, and then I have another one that's smaller that for going inside or something. But the bigger camera is like for the outside.
Okay.
And but he wanted one where you can have two different cameras, and they can be pretty expensive, up to $200 or up. And my cat, I think, is interested in something behind my desk. So it's either a mouse or a bird. He's going to work. So
Doing his job.
yeah,
uh,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of suction cups.
I
No.
can't I can find them things down, but I know they're on there, but I
Okay.
don't.
We look at it. We talk about that next week. Let's do our research and go back because certainly for those expensive lenses, all these telephotos, it's good to have a second attachment. It happened to me. I tell you, it happened to me already once. With tripod, the issue is, I mean, you develop your habits, correct? When you set your tripods, you make sure that the legs don't move, correct? So the first thing that
Right.
you do is you put your tripod and then you lean on it before you put any camera because that's a common mistake that you don't tighten it up completely, and that's why I think people like Jeff was mentioning that he liked the not the
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 clamp.
one he liked the clamps because
Yeah.
they are either on or not, okay? But if
And
you
they're
use
adjustable.
yeah, that is but it happened to you one time, you learn your lesson. You every time you
Your
automatically
tripod could still collapse.
exactly because yeah, collapsing the legs and of course you always keep on one hand on on your camera, but for sure it's a problem. So
Well, they got tripods now that can go ground level.
yeah,
So there's another attachment on the top to keep it from spreading too far out. And
yeah,
a lot of people forget about that also.
For
So
ground level, I just used a board with a ball head on it.
exactly. You got to go to the ground. Just just put it on the ground with a pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pre-pods, before there were pods.
I'm trying to think of a photographer that made a kind of like a bowl
Yeah,
where he has a mount with the camera and he just put
Yeah,
the
just old fry pan.
bowl on the ground so it could get low to take pictures of the ducks and the birds and stuff
Yeah,
at the
cheap
lake.
ball head and bung it in it, and either a board or an old fry pan or something, or an
Yeah,
old lid from the stove. Anything that works. But now you got professionally made versions.
you see, Randall, this is something.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's the one that wildlife photographers use. Okay,
Does your wife know you stole one of her hubcaps?
exactly. And,
And
and
it can probably
Looks
still
like a
cook
frying pan with no
ramen.
handle.
So it's a 2-for-1
a walk.
walk. Yeah,
Frisbee.
Yeah. But you see, because remember that we talked about that the other time. I have a clamp already, correct? So I can put whatever tripod heads. So it's very easy to attach the tripod head, correct?
yeah. There you go. Yeah,
That's a chubby
excellent.
one.
Yeah. So any of my tripod heads, even the gimbals can go onto this one, but this is one that you use if you need to go to the ground. That's the solution.
Yep.
That would be really good for when you go to some of these places where you're not allowed to use a tripod.
Well, or you,
That's probably more common too.
yeah, or in the beach in the sand, or in the snow,
Yeah.
correct? You have to drag your camera instead of dragging the camera. So this is quite a nifty thing to have.
What brand is that, by the way,
I don't
Gustavo?
know. I bought that many years ago.
It's plastic, right? It's not
This
metal.
one is plastic. If you make one with a fry pan, then it's a lot heavier.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then it has a handle on it.
yeah.
So it's easier.
That's
And
true.
you cook your lunch.
And you can make your eggs at the same time. If the camera is hot enough, you can cook and photograph at the same time.
Yeah, they just shoot a long video.
Exactly. So anyway, that's but indeed I'm going to check on those safety because I agree with you, Randall. It's better if it's not elastic, correct? You if your
Not
system
elastic.
falls
No.
apart, you want to hear it coming apart, and then you
They
can
have to rewire.
Well, a lot of these knockoffs now, you can even take a look at the fabric and you can see this is not going to last. And I spent this much money on something like that. So I had a bad experience with a warehouse that dealt with build trucks. And they said they had these lenses. And then I kept waiting. And 6 weeks later, I was ready to cancel. And he said, well, they're going to arrive next week. And I said, no, I just want my money back and stuff like that. But the thing is, they had also an adapter, and it was K&F Concepts for M-mount lenses for Nikon F. They said it works on the D610. Well, I happen to have a D610.
Okay.
Tried it. It didn't work.
Okay.
And so, and they keep advertising. You complain to Amazon, and they don't really want to do anything. But then when you start seeing all the reviews of the bad, then they're forced to do something about that. But, there's a big scam going on now where you order something and you can track it, and all of a sudden, instead of coming to Texas, it ends up in either Ohio or Washington or Oregon. And it said it was delivered. And it says, no, not to my address.
Oh my
And
God.
so you're getting scammed right there. And now I'm hearing people at either the post office, a carrier, or UPS or FedEx, they're opening up your packages. And you get the box, but there's nothing in the box. So,
But you get a nice photo of when it's delivered.
yeah. But I remember my niece was asking because my sister's best friend came over to help do their taxes, and she mailed her laptop. And I said, who did you mail it with? And he says, with the post office. I said, oh, no. and she was following the track. It came to the city, but it went to different zip codes. And then it went back to Georgia. And then it went back to San Antonio. And then when she finally got it at the house, all right, it was damaged. And the guy didn't expect my niece to be on the porch. And he was trying to sneak up to leave the package at the door. And then he saw her. And she says, what do you got there? And she saw the box was damaged. And she didn't want to accept it. And she wanted to complain. And he just took off, right? So they went and saw the substation, which they had to go to the main facility to make a complaint. And she got money back for that delivery because she did have insurance. But, stuff like that, that's why I retired.
Yeah.
You're not getting quality anymore. And now you're seeing people are getting angry at the newer workers or teenagers and stuff because they get their orders wrong, and they're getting mad. He says, "How come I come here every time and get my order wrong?" And it's just a lot of stuff going on where you're turning into your parents. When they got older, they started complaining about this and that, and you're turning right into them because you see the same things. You just see lack of quality. But on the gear, though, I love it. I mean, I rather take pictures than play a round of golf. I shanked one time and went over the fence and into the parking lot, and I saw two sports cars where the ball went. I said, "Oh no!" Right? So the owner of the golf course came out, or the manager, whatever, and he saw the whole thing, And he looked at the cars, and I was looking at it, you're lucky. So he says, I'll do you a favor. I said, I'll give you a hole in one. And I says, what? He says, yeah, but you're not going to play here anymore. You're off the course. So,
Oh my God.
yeah. But, you know, it just, it's amazing the things that you capture. And if I had a camera doing that, I would have videotaped it. Just, oh, look at this. But
Was you
no
playing
camera.
golf, Randall?
Yeah, I was playing golf. I shanked it, went over the fence into the parking lot. I was at hole number 9. Let's see. It goes back to 9. And then it goes back to, and then 18 is back at the main center. But yeah, and I couldn't believe it. And I was with my father-in-law and 2 uncles at the time. Yeah, so I was really embarrassed. Jeez. But, yeah. The only other time I was embarrassed was going out golfing again with my buddies. I was 14 at the time, and the oldest guy was 16. And I was at number 1. I played golf before. There was 3 old men at the bench watching it. And, you know, it's like, what was it, the Muppet Show, where the 2 old men were making fun and stuff? That's what these 3 guys were doing. And they made me nervous. And I swung at that thing 10 times, and I couldn't hit it.
All right.
And
Enough about golfs.
well, what happened was the 16-year-old says, calm down, let me show it's done. And my aunt would only let me play with them if I didn't get hit in the head with a golf ball. All right. So the left-handed guy went back, Bobby, swung it back, and I'm watching him, and I forgot he was left-handed. And when he went like that, he hit me right in the eye with the golf. And then when I got home, my aunt says, I don't even want to hear it.
So Randall, to make a long story short, which camera were you using to keep this photography related?
At that time, I had a Kodak Pocket film camera.
Yeah.
I looked for those. I couldn't find them. I know they're on there in free B&H, and they've used. I've found. I've seen them before. I know they're there.
Okay.
But I'll go looking over this week.
So what is it you have there, Roy?
I'm just going through old straps and things. Things like harnesses.
Oh my God.
One of them you wrap around your waist and it pulls your trousers down.
But those are harnesses for you. Huh?
Yes. I'm just seeing what I've got. You just got me curious.
There we go. Kodak Electrify. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I took a lot of pictures with these.
man. I had one of those cameras. Yep.
Do you have the film still, Randall, or not?
Yeah. I now have a Canon FD100, or F100. So and it's the program, AE program, AE100, something like that.
Yeah.
So I got 400, and I got, I think, 200 film.
I think this is more Jeff territory than mine.
Yeah, see, and then I got the 400 right there. And then on the camera.
Don't show any film. Otherwise, Chuck is going to boot you out of there.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
But you could show a picture of your black eye.
There you go. I got it right here. Okay. Show and tell. All right. So here's the Canon AE1.
Yep.
Okay. There you go.
Remember it well.
What year was that one out?
I think in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or in the
1980,
80s? Yeah.
before they went to the new mount.
I was watching Mr. Wu last time with John Nishi. I think it was on last night, wasn't it?
Yep.
Where they were talking about,
Rolly.
yeah, Royal. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
But it was a rangefinder, so it doesn't count.
Your favorite camera, Roy?
No, my worst was the TLRs.
Yeah, but the one he made was autofocus. So
Yeah.
on the second one, the engineer. So I thought that was pretty good too.
Well, we just about got it, didn't we? We're close to it.
Yep, it's almost that time. 10 more minutes.
Yep.
You're doing good tonight,
Why
Chuck.
don't you give us one more try of the for the what?
For the photo review?
Yep.
All right, so let's put it again here at the end so people can scroll to the end of the show. So a reminder here of a monthly photo review, which will be March 1st, which is Saturday. That's in 3 weeks, I believe. Please remember to keep sending your photos to selectedimagery1@gmail.com. And typically that's a JPEG format, 2048 pixels on the long side or larger. Okay, Jeff will accept larger, double that if you want a unique resolution.
Yep.
The deadline is Friday before the photo review, so that will be Friday, February 28th, noontime, like David suggested. Okay. But 2 weeks before the photo review is preferable. So I already have my 4 photos for the next photo review, and I will send my email to Jeff probably early next week. Please do include a brief description of your photos and in your email to Jeff.
All right.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing, Gustavo.
Yes, sir.
If you'd like to come on the panel and discuss your photo when it's being
Yes.
reviewed, that is an
Yep.
option. And it is something that you're welcome to come on the panel. You only have to stay for a short time just to discuss your
Indeed,
photo.
indeed. Jeff very much like that, and Chuck likes that. So
Yep.
so keep thinking about that one. I actually picked 2 new photos and 2 photos that I recently reprocessed. Right? So I will send it to Mr. Jeff here shortly.
Yep.
So anyway, I think this is it for tonight.
There we go. All right.
Yep.
Well, I don't have anything to say. It's just people just made them real mad.
So I think
But-
we have a good show. So anyway, lovely discussions, and I will put some of the comments together in that table so that we can see how good are we at forecasting what is going to come.
Terrible.
So that for sure, right? And we have some homework to do with the security lines, correct? So something to discuss next week. And next week, let's do the same with the cameras as well, correct? And
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more idea what's coming up in CP Plus in Japan.
Yep.
So that's from me, Randall and Roy and David.
Isn't there something coming up in England too this week. A photo. So what was it? Grays
Mhm.
said that Red will be there with the Nikon.
Okay.
So that's going to be kind of exciting. And the next show, they'll talk about what they see. But I like to see that with Red and Nikon now,
All right. Yeah.
going to these booths.
Funny we haven't heard more about that.
Yep. And I agree with you.
Usually, the less we hear, the bigger thing comes out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
And Roy, anything from your side?
I haven't seen anything interesting lately. Some lighting stuff. That's about it.
You think Trump will annex Australia too?
He gets no work.
No politics, no politics.
Yeah.
David, what about you? What do you have? Your final thoughts?
Well,
Thank
the only thing, yeah, that I can say, if you think a piece of equipment is coming out that you're going to want, go to your dealer and order it before it's announced.
Yes.
Because your dealer knows before everybody else what's coming out, and he has to put in an order.
That's right.
So if you go early, like I did for the 28, I'm the first on the list, so I will get mine the day it is out.
Yep.
And that is what you have to do, because if you wait until it's announced, TFB, it could be like my
800?
800 9 months
Yep.
later. And some of the small dealers only get one or two.
That's
I'm
right.
not sure if I want a 35 1.2 anyway.
No, he already asked me, and I said no. But he knows I want a 28. But it wouldn't be a 1.2. It'll probably be a 1.4, or even a 1.8.
All right.
But anyway, have a good night. I won't be here next week, but I'll be here the week after, and I'll be here for the photo review.
That's very good.
And anybody that wants to come on temporarily during the show, Chuck's been putting the link in, and Jeff does the same
Yep.
thing.
And real Nikon lover said, "Happy Super Bowl Sunday."
That's
All right.
true.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Super Bowl's tomorrow.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you all for watching, and looks like another good time. See you later.